Alright, in this video we'll continue the orthographic tutorial by adding an auxiliary view and adding some additional construction lines that assist us in our drawing. Now I want to use this truncated cube to understand what an auxiliary drawing does. What it does is it highlights this oblique surface right here, this face, and you can see that if you look at the plan drawing, you see that we have our original orthographic drawings top and two sides drawn from the top view, constructed with the construction lines, which then if you project the lines gives you this kind of angled drawing. But really what it is just as if you're looking at this object face forward like this, but because it's constructed from the side view, it comes in angled. These projected lines are perpendicular to the sloped line, which means that this drawing is parallel to the slope line. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. We're going to go ahead and try to continue the orthographic drawing set we used in the previous video to construct an auxiliary view. Now, when looking at these orthographic drawings, I've already started what we need to do, which is highlighting which of the drawings has the sloped angle, which is this drawing right here. You can see it. And what we need are these two projection lines, which are perpendicular to the sloped line. Now, to get these projected lines and the sloped line over here, all you need to do is grab this line. I'm just going to go ahead and delete these to demonstrate. Offset this line, just copy offset. It doesn't matter which dimension. You just need any dimension right there. And then from there, all you need to do is draw a line from here to here. Same thing from here to here, and change those to construction lines. Now, I know I'm going to extend it a little bit further and not as close as I've drawn, so I've already determined I'm going to draw my line about here. The next thing you need to do or understand about this drawing is that it's an orthographic view, which is measurable, meaning that if I know this cube is 3 inches, I know that this width of the object over here of this drawing is going to need to be 3 inches as well. So I can go ahead and offset this about 3 inches, and that's going to give me my width. Okay, I'm going to move this to, I'm going to make these both heavy line weights. Okay, and then I know that this is closed by using the projection line. You just assume that these are closed. Okay, and we'll change those to heavy as well. So this face right here is this diagonal line, but using the dimension of what the plan is giving us. We know the dimension here is 3 inches. You can just go type distance and you'll know that that's 3 inches. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue extending some construction lines. I'll go ahead and copy this over here and over here. Now if we extend these by using the extend command, this way, and then we'll do the same thing here, extend like that. We'll start to understand what's happening. So what you want to do is clean this up slightly. So I'm going to grab this right here, I'm going to split it. Okay, and then I'm going to trim the top portion because we don't need the construction lines going that far. And then I'll go ahead and change these to the heavy line weight. Okay, so now you probably starting to understand what's going on. You have this tilted face and you have the top edge and the bottom edge, very similar to our truncated cube. For example, if we scroll over here, we understand that the truncated cube is very similar, and really what we're seeing is something similar to this, but on our more advanced orthographic drawing. Okay, so if we continue, the next box I want to draw is this 4-inch box. We knew from the previous video this is a 4-inch box. So I want to determine its extent. So I'll go ahead and I'll copy this projection line. And we'll extend the line out. So we can just go ahead and extend this line out by just drawing a new one that's perpendicular to that. Okay, and we'll do the same thing on this side. And you'll note what I did is actually incorrect because this box is 4 inches, it's not 3 inches. So it actually wouldn't stop here. So what you need to do is delete this line and offset this by 4 inches because we know it's 4 inches. And so we've determined, let's just go ahead and trim this actually. Actually, we'll split it here and here. And we'll go ahead and delete that side and then change this to, we'll change all these to medium line weight. So we know it's the 4-inch box and not the 3-inch box. So now we start to see the top view. To understand where the bottom corner is, I need to draw the line from this point right here, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and I'll copy this again and I'll draw an edge, sorry, I'll draw a line at this point and I'll extend it to this point right here. Type extend, draw it out, extend this again, and then we can go ahead and split this between this line, and this line, okay? Remove that. This actually, if you know, is this inner corner of the 90 degree, and that needs to be hidden. Okay, so we're going to change this to a hidden line, and that looks about right, and we'll change this to medium line weight. So now we have the 4-inch box and we have that 3-inch box. This is the top portion, that top edge right here, so we need to extend it. split this line, and then change that. Okay, so now we have that full 4-inch cube. Okay, I think that makes sense. The next thing we want to do is draw this 2-inch cube that's above. So we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to draw out the lines. Now I'm going to go ahead and do this really quick and just follow along. Okay, so that pretty much constructs the top view right there. So we know that this cube has a 1/4-inch thickness. So if you look at the 3D view of this object, you notice that we have this L right here, which is that thickness. There, you have the thickness up top, and you have this thickness of the top surface, and then the surface right here represents the surface that's there, right? And actually this is open, I didn't realize that before. So we're gonna need to add the thickness on these two sides. We'll go ahead and offset this by 1/4 inch and a 1/4 inch, okay? And then we can go ahead and trim it where need be, like this. And this line actually won't be hidden anymore. So it's good to kind of look at whatever your 3D view or your object in front of your face so you understand what's actually going on here. So the next thing we need to add is this wing right here. I'll go ahead and draw this real quickly. So I noticed that I drew this incorrectly because I'm drawing as if it's a full cube, but it's actually truncated at this point right here. So I'm going to go ahead and I will draw the diagonal line up to this point and then continue the drawing. Let's go ahead and create a new layout page and try to align it to our new drawing, which is somewhere around here, like that. You'll notice that I made the construction lines of much a lighter color. This really depends on how it prints. It might print really, really light, so you might have to go ahead and change it to a darker color. That might be better, depending on how it prints. It really just depends on what it ends up turning out, and you just need to test that out. Okay, the last thing I want to do is kind of add this connected line. This construction line isn't necessary. It's more or less an aesthetic piece. So you have something similar to this. And the way you do that is just go back to your drawing, and you want to go ahead, starting with probably the biggest line or the biggest box, is just drawing moments where they intersect. So I know that intersects right there. All right, once you get this, you want to move these construction lines. I'm going to create a box, which is about 2 inches by 2 inches, like that. I'm going to move it right here, and I'm going to use that as my center point, create a circle, like that. Now, this is just kind of arbitrary, but I think it works. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to trim this edge, all this again. Let me try. Okay, that worked. So that's fine. Move that to construction line. Now, so the question is, how do we get the rest of these to be like that? Now, that first circle was just a starting point, so I know the distance between this, if I measure it, is about, I believe, 2 inches. Yeah, 2 inches. Then it's from this point to this point, it's about 1 inch. So the first dimension is 2 inch difference, so I'm just going to offset this by 2 inches, okay? And we should be able to trim this now. Yep, just like that. And then I'll offset this by 1 inch because I just measured it before. So offset that by 1 inch. And then this dimension I also believe is 1 inch just by looking at it. And then this I believe is 2 inches again, just by looking at it. You should just measure it. And then the last one I believe is 1 inch again. And that looks about right. So if I just go ahead and trim this, and that looks about right, move these to construction line. And there we go. If we go back to the page view, that seems about right. There's some weird stuff going on here, but I'm going to ignore that. I'm going to make this, let's move that back to light gray. I'm going to leave it there. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below.